Hello, everybody. I want to tell you something before I get started on this. The people that are in the back row. Now, let me get this straight. I never said that this election between Esau and Dingaling, um, it was lesser of two evils. Now, you only got one evil and one good. There's no such thing as a partly evil. You're either evil or you're good. And I've said that. So I cleared that up. I'm tired of people saying that stuff. And believe me, I have been a conservative person for since I started voting. And this stuff going on right now is just too much for me to take. It's a bunch of crap. And I'm sick and tired of it. Alright, Muslim group CAIR to sue Florida Governor Ron DeSantis over terror label. CAIR says the Florida governor decree will not affect the group's work, but could fuel Islamophobia and bigotry across the U.S. And that's right. They ain't doing nothing to you. What's your problem? Hiba Rahim, the interim executive director of CAIR Florida, speaks during a news conference in Tampa on December 9th. The Council on American Islamic Relations says it is the process of filing a lawsuit against Florida Governor Ron DeSantis for designating the civil rights group as a foreign terrorist organization. Hiba Rahim, the interim executive director of the state chapter of CAIR, told Al Jazeera on Tuesday that while DeSantis' decision will not stop or will not have any immediate effect on the group, it could fuel Islamophobia in Florida and across the United States. I think they just want these people to think it's a Christian. Let me tell you something, there's Christian and then there's Christian. We've got fake Christians running around. Okay, we'll continue doing the work that that we do every day to defend civil liberties and protect American Muslims and to protect the community at large and to uphold the Constitution, Rahim told Al Jazeera. DeSantis announced his decision to blacklist CAIR on Monday, calling upon state agencies to take action against anyone who provides material support to the civil rights group. It's getting pretty crappy there. But critics point out that the governor's foreign terrorist designation appears to be largely symbolic. Such designation only be made at the federal level. Moreover, CAIR is a domestic group with dozens of chapters across the country and hundreds of employees and contributors who are U.S. citizens. It therefore cannot be labeled a foreign group. Material support to terrorism is a serious criminal charge that would require legal proceedings, and the civil rights group has not yet faced any formal accusations. But DeSantis' announcement echoes a similar move taken by Texas Governor Greg Abbott, another Republican, last month. DeSantis welcomes lawsuit. Founded in 1994, CEIR describes itself as the largest Muslim American civil liberties organization. The group says it supports free enterprise, freedom of religion, and freedom of expression, and opposes all violence against civilians. CAIR has been involved in many major lawsuits defending Muslim civil rights, including cases that made it to the U.S. Supreme Court. The group has also filed legal challenges to protect the free speech of U.S. citizens involved in advocacy for Palestinian rights. In this executive order on Monday, DeSantis, who launched an unsuccessful bid for president last year, where am I here? Also designated the Muslim Brotherhood as a terrorist group. Israel is mentioned throughout the decree, which says that Hamas is seeking the eradication of Jews from the historic homeland of Judea and Samaria, another term for the occupied West Bank, Palestinian territory. CEIR has long been a target for right-wing pro-Israel advocates. The Israeli government itself has asked its Ministry of Defense to consider designating the U.S. nonprofit as a terrorist group. In Tuesday's interview, Rahim criticized DeSantis for pursuing Israel First policies instead of protecting U.S. citizens who might be affiliated with CAIR. She understood that in 2019, DeSantis held his first official cabinet meeting as Florida governor in Israel, sign of his close relationship with the country. Rahim also slammed the governor for failing to speak out about the plight of his Palestinian American constituents. In July, Israeli settlers in the West Bank beat to death Florida ice cream shop worker Foila Musalat and 16-year-old Florida teen Mohammed Ibrahim was jailed by Israel for more than 8 months this year without any public protest from the governor. What type of priorities is he showing the people of Florida when he elevates an Israel First policy and ignores the needs of the Floridian people, Rahim told Al Jazeera. I want to speak on that too. There's like, I think, 20 more congressmen. I mean, Marjorie Taylor Greene is resigning in January because of what Trump called her a traitor. And there's 20 other ones that I heard might do it too. But as far as a traitor, she's not a traitor. The people that are supporting this cause over there, giving them money, doing all this stuff, and saying that if we're not with them, we're freaking anti-Semites and all this other stuff. It goes to show you where America's at. It's being led by a foreign country, which is treason. So let me get that straight. What type of priorities is he showing? Earlier on Tuesday, Rahim told reporters that CAIR is proud to be America First, highlighting the patriotism of the Muslim group while questioning DeSantis' loyalties. She said CAIR mission was to defend the rights enshrined in the U.S. Constitution. The Florida governor has said he would welcome a lawsuit against the AIR terrorist designation, arguing that a legal challenge would give the state discovered rights to be able to subpoena the group's bank records. However, CAIR were indeed suspected of any criminal activity, state officials should be able to seek a search warrant to investigate its activities without waiting for a lawsuit. Rahim appeared unfazed by the prospect of having the group's records made public. We welcome it as well, and we will see him in the courtroom, she told reporters. The targeting of CAIR comes amid a spike in Islamophobia across the country, with politicians, including allies of President Donald Trump, sharpening their anti-Muslim rhetoric. Early this year, several right-wing Congress members, including Chip Roy and Tommy Tuberville, introduced a bill against the establishment of Islamic law, measures that critics consider a red herring. Rather than addressing the real issue, right advocates say the legislation is instead amid the demonizing Muslim community and portraying Islam as a threat to the Constitution. Last month, anti-Muslim activists also marched on the city of Dearborn, Michigan, which is home of a large Muslim community. They were hurled racist insults at residents and tried to burn the Quran. Muslim American activist Ahmed Bedir, who hosts a radio show in Florida, Tampa Bay area, said there appears to be concerted effort by right-wing and pro-Israel advocates to paint Muslims as a threat to distract from the atrocities in Gaza. They want to pit, they want the Christians and the Muslims to hate each other. So they're going to do anything they can to make you believe that the chosen ones are the chosen ones. And they're not. This definitely feels like there is a coordinated campaign to convince Americans that somehow Muslims are the real enemies, that there's this Muslim scare. The Muslims are taking over. Sharia is conquering. Bedlier told Lazir. You know, this thing with the Sharia thing, you got more to worry about what's going on in the White House. I'm talking to people that are listening and what they're planning. Then you got for these people to do a Sharia law. There's, I can tell you, the these particular certain people, they get their way. Christians are days are numbered. Real Christians. Where I'm not talking about um, the Seven Mountain Mandate people, the evangelicals, and all these pastors that think if we don't bless Israel, we got to bless Israel or we will be cursed. I said it before, it was Abraham he was talking to, and Jesus Christ is the seed. Jesus Christ is Israel. Don't forget that. We go to this one. While we're waiting here, you know, you got Ted Cruz, the poster child, and oh, they're all out there campaigning for this certain kind of state and doing all this stuff. You know, all these people going over there and worshiping the wall and kissing it, and being over there so they can idolize it and all this stuff and get all that money, and because they're Judas, just like Judas. That's all they are. They're traitors. They're Judas, and they can't change my mind. They can't make me not know what I know. I even knew when I was a kid. I knew it about uh, how Jesus was crucified. I knew who did it. I knew the whole dang thing. So it's been a long time. I don't hate Jewish people, but there are some, because of Jesus Christ. You go over there and mention his name, you will be spit on. Tired of these people. Tired of these people doing this stuff. saying we have to do it. I don't have to do a damn thing. I don't have to do it. They ain't my boss. They ain't my parent. This is why I do not belong to any secular religion. I just follow the Bible and Jesus Christ. And if that ain't good enough, I'm sorry. The churches have been infiltrated, and the sooner you figure that one out, the better off everybody will be. I said that in my testimony that I was shown that there would be no place for you to go because it would be against you. That is, if you're a Christ follower and you ain't going to deny Christ. That's what they'll get you to try to do. And then, according to this Talmudic law, that's idolatry to them. It's worth is having Jesus Christ. That's not the Messiah. Okay, here's Mr. You know this guy that she's going to talk about? He's running for senator in Florida. Here's your new senator, buddies. Whoops. Hang on.
A woman from the UK confronted New Yorkers, and I did not expect this to happen. Check it out.
People of New York, I've come from the United Kingdom, and I'm looking at this ball that is here, that you're lining up.
Have to reload it. I don't even know what the heck that is.
punched harder by Capitol Police Officer lady. Really hard. Really hard right here. But it's okay. All American, baby.
He's Jewish but says he believes in Jesus Christ. I want to know why these idiots would come here from Florida when there are other states that can. I ain't never heard anything bad.
I was punched harder by Capitol Police Officer lady, so it's okay. Really hard. Really hard right here. But it's okay. All
That's
American, baby.
January 6th rider. He's an idiot.
Well, it all began around 4 this afternoon with some protesters chanting, America.
I recently purchased the most popular glucose meter online.
Well, it all began around 4 this afternoon with some protesters chanting, Americans against Islamification. Soon after,
I recently purchased.
I think freaking Trump is causing problems. Esau. Related to Barabbas. He's an idiot.
I was punched harder by Capitol Police Officer lady, so it's okay. Really hard right here. But it's okay. All American, baby. Get that mother. All American muscle.
He's the guy that was that guy that's trying to run for president. Right there. Jake Lang.
I was punched harder by Capitol Police Officer lady, so it's okay.
Time. Far-right Islamophobe who tried to burn the Quran in Dearborn, sues for city for $200 million. Dearborn. Jake Lang, the far-right Islamophobe who traveled from Florida to Dearborn and attempted to burn a copy of the Holy Quran during an anti-Islam demonstration, has filed a federal lawsuit against the city of Dearborn and its officials, claiming he was assaulted and that his constitutional rights are violated. He is demanding $200 million in damages. What kind of damages? Still look this ugly as he did. But that guy's, I don't know. There's your next senator down there in Florida, right here, right here, right here. Yeah, these people are the ones that say that the Islams created the Talmud too. It's another bold-faced lie. So before you start talking about me, you better look at the people down there that you're voting for. Crazies. Okay, this is about the 7 no-hide laws. The 7-step plan for world peace. Now, does not that remind you of the 7 mountain mandate? Okay, listen to this person. This is a rabbi or something. There's also a PDF of there.
So by means of preface, in the number of times over the last few months and years, in the course of my sermons, I shared stories of interactions I had with cab drivers, Uber drivers, people I sat next to on the plane, and a number of members of our show asked if I could please share the secret of how you can effectively communicate the 7 laws of Noach. There is no secret, but here's a couple of tricks that I picked up along the way. I'm doing this for about 30 years now, because when I was a 17-year-old boy, the Rebbe was speaking about doing this very often. In fact, on Lag BaOmer of 1987, there was a big parade. It was on Sunday, and the high school that I was at, which is called the Yeshiva Alledged Torah, got the rights to make a float. So our float, I was in charge of the float with a friend of mine, and our float was about the 7 Noachide laws. And when it went by the Rebbe was very pleased. So I've been talking about this for a very, very long time, and I made a lot of mistakes. I'm not going to tell you all the mistakes I made. I won't tell you all the people who ended angry at me. But I guess you pick up tricks here and there. And so here's what I learned by speaking to probably thousands of people by now, of what works and what doesn't work, and how we can, and I think we should, effectively try to communicate the laws of Noah. So first 3 points. Point number 1. When it comes to mitzvahs in which we have a responsibility to communicate, whether it's a mitzvah like hocheach tochiach es amisecha, that you should rebuke your fellow, or whether it's a mitzvah of vishinantam levanecha, that we should teach Torah to every Jew we meet, we should create as many disciples as we could, or whether it's a mitzvah like teaching the 7 Noachide laws, which ultimately is a responsibility, as Maimonides outlines very, very clearly in his codes in Mishnah Torah, that it's our responsibility to do this. There's 2 general approaches. One approach is, I have to do something. So as long as I did my best, I did my part. I'm done. And I don't care if it's going to be accepted, if it won't be accepted. I had to say my piece. So this is about me doing my mitzvah. And invariably, if that's your attitude, you probably won't succeed often, because A, you won't do a good job, and B, the person you're talking to will probably pick up at some point that you don't really care about them or care about your words being efficacious. You just care about getting this over with. So once you finish doing what you have to do, I'm done. I will distinctly always remember watching an older fellow on a plane. It was an El Al plane. And I spent most of the night talking to somebody. In the morning, he actually did put on tefillin. But I was watching this older fellow, and he just picked up the tefillin, and he just walked around the plane. Just said, tefillin, 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 tefillin. Of course, everybody said no. Then he sat down, and he said, okay, I guess I did what I have to do. The Rebbe says, put on tefillin, people. So I offered them, I stood in front, I said, tefillin, tefillin, tefillin. No, Okay, fine. Sat down. So I didn't think that was very effective, and I wasn't surprised that nobody said yes. I would be surprised if somebody said yes, would have said yes. Of course everybody said no. Why shouldn't they say no? But this guy worked it all night, you know, eventually he did put on film. Before we left the plane, he did put on film, because I wasn't trying just to do what I had to do. I was trying to actually get the guy to put on film. So if you want to communicate things, like rebuking people, you could just yell and scream at them. They're not going to listen. They're not going to be interested in hearing what you have to say, but you can feel good that I did my part. I yelled and screamed at them. I'm told, and I don't know if this is true, that there was a group of people from Yerushalayim. It is famously, they make these protests to people desecrate Shabbos to protect the sanctity of Shabbat, and that they came to the Rebbe.
I'll tell you something about the no-hide laws. When you first look at them, you know, they sound okay, this and that and the other thing. But there's laws, there's sub-laws underneath that. And there's other things that they say in the Talmud that is very disgraceful to the Christians. And it's an oral law written in a series of books. It's an oral law, and I do not. I've read the Bible and stuff, and Noah did not. God did not give him any laws like the laws that they're talking about. You notice how they forget Moses? Moses was nearly to the end of the Old Testament, and those were the laws, and they seem to violate those laws all the time. And the reason they're doing this is because they know this is the only way they can bring their kingdom. So, but if you're a believer in Christ, and you don't deny Christ, they will take you up in front of the courts, the Sanhedrin, and just like Christ, that's what's going to happen. You'll be persecuted, just like Christ was, like he says in the Bible. But you got to remember, they did it to him too. And that's Christ's mouth. He called them the synagogue of Satan. They don't go to the New Testament, they never have, because they don't believe in Christ as their Messiah. I'm not going to hate just because somebody tells me to freaking hate. Now, the one I noticed they didn't go to Minnesota. Minnesota, those people, Somaliland people, are defrauding the government. But they didn't go there. This is all a big plan for a certain somebody that's over there, that's in charge over there, that's insane. The whole cabinet's insane. And all the bloodshed over there, and they say they're God's chosen people. I think not. He warned them. He warned them. He warned them. He warned them. He warned them several times. But they didn't take heed to what God told them. Now, it could have been something, but unfortunately, they didn't listen. And besides that, Christians, when Noah came in on board, Christians were not even in the picture at that time. So why are they involving the Christians? Wanting to be just amongst all you people fighting over each other. Yeah, you gotta wait till this thing starts to decide whether it's gonna do something or not. Oh, it's so messed up, this computer. A hole too. Got an older one than this. It works better than this one. I even start using that one again. This stuff. Very faster do that. No. I hate this dang thing. Just wait for it. It'll come. Here it is. They had 1,000 pastors go to Israel to worship the wall, and their idol over there and be a bunch of Judas. But what they want is they want these pastors, and they're going to get more. The church is being infiltrated, and it's been infiltrated for a long time. But they want them to teach people to accept this stuff. We're going off track. Well, you can't unsee what you're seeing. It's just impossible to do. And these people never get it through their head. That Christ is King.
U.S. Ambassador Mike Huckabee explained the heart of the commissioning.
You're not an ambassador for the state of Israel. Nobody's asking you to take on a political role. In fact, I don't recommend it. You've got enough trouble being a pastor. You sure don't need to get into this business. No, I would say you're an ambassador for Christ, His kingdom, and His word.
Reverend Johnny Moore said this gathering marks a defining moment.
So this is an army of pastors, 1,000 pastors, the largest group of pastors at one time that has ever come to Israel specifically for one purpose, to stand in solidarity with the Jewish state and the people of Israel.
He put it in his...
These are wolves in sheep's clothing. Don't listen to them say Jesus Christ when they got other things there, when they accept money and stuff and do things for this particular place, and the American people can go suck an egg and pay their taxes like good little boys and girls, so they can do whatever the hell they want.
Historical perspective.
I believe every generation has a test. One generation had to face the test of the trains going to Auschwitz. Another generation of the Jews in the Soviet Union crying for help. Our generation is facing a resurgence of anti-Semitism in our schools, on our streets, in the mouth of our politicians, ubiquitous in media. There isn't a Jewish community in the United States of America that hasn't faced it. This is our moment. The question is whether we will rise to the occasion, and I can tell you from leaving this room a few minutes ago, we're going to rise to the occasion. We will not let this evil win this time.
Israeli leaders encouraged the pastors to be bold and express gratitude for their support.
Stand up and be counted. Tell the truth. Speak to young people. Speak up and be counted. I'm counting on you, and I know you'll do what has to be done. That's what our destiny calls for.
This is not just Israel's fight. This is a fight for civilization. We're facing very much a civilizational struggle like we saw in the 30s between Nazism and the free world. Today, that Nazism is Islamism in coordination with communism, which today's expression is called woke, but it's the same thing.
Behind the scenes, Shira Mills of the Friends of Zion Museum helped make the summit possible.
Never been done before. This is something very unique, very difficult, but here we are. From my point of view, it's miraculous.
The vision going forward, recruiting 10,000 more pastors in the next 36 months.
Because there's a lot of misinformation out there, a lot of young people that are not for Israel, and they're just getting the wrong information. So our whole idea here is to reach the youth of America and around the world and just show the truth.
One of the most moving moments came from Daniel Leshinsky, whose son Yaron was murdered, along with his fiancée Sarah Milgram, in Washington, D.C. earlier this year.
Well, my message is to pay attention that anti-Semitism is a problem for all of us, not only for the Jewish people, not only for the Israelis, but also for the pastors in the U.S., for the church. Anti-Semitism, we know that it's a demon, it's a power, it's a spiritual power that is going first against the Jewish people and then against all the people of God.
One of the last events of the Ambassador Summit was here on the Mount of Olives, where more than 1,000 pastors came to overlook the city and pray for the peace of Jerusalem.
With 1,000 pastors gathered at such a critical moment for the nation of Israel, when anti-Semitism is rising in our nation and globally, this has been such a pivotal turning point. I believe we can turn the tide of anti-Semitism.
1,000 pastors and leaders that didn't even know each other. And he called and we heard the word of the Lord. And this is a season to see anti-Semitism defeated and to see God's glory come to his chosen people.
Chris Mitchell, CBN News, the Mount of Olives, Jerusalem.
Read your Bible, woman. That's the problem. And people don't realize that. These people are not telling the truth. They evidently don't know their Bible. If they know it and they're still doing this stuff, it's wrong. It's just too dang crazy. I'm getting tired of it, to be honest with you. I'm not going to kiss nobody's ring. I'm not going to worship a man. I'm not going to worship one that's here on earth. And all that stuff to please someone else. But anyway, with that said, I'd like to say God bless. Remember, Jesus cares. Keep your faith. Read your Bible. You need to know, because Jesus said his people died for lack of knowledge. And I believe that's the knowledge he's talking about. So, God bless. Peace and love. Thanks for watching.